$100 when it comes to ICP doesn't even seem that bad to me because I get it. Throughout this whole time, I've been hypothetically talking about ICP and the idea of it maybe going to the price of $500. And a lot of people, they've been complaining. They've been saying, please talk about a different scenario. We don't like that scenario. So, okay, let's tone things down. Let's say $100, even though nothing I say is financial advice. And I get it. This is a far cry from $500, but $100, right? That's still around a 17x from here. So is that bad? No, I don't think so, because take a look at Bitcoin recently reaching a new all-time high. I'm totally aware of that. That is very amazing for Bitcoin. But what could Bitcoin do in the next 6 to 10 months? Maybe slightly less than a 3x, let's say going to the price of $300,000. Okay, that would be good if I had $10 million in Bitcoin, but I don't, right? So the way you take a look at it is that what's better? Maybe, right? 17x or 3x? I think hands down is a 17x. It wouldn't make sense for me to FOMO into Bitcoin right now. If I did that, that would be like me FOMOing into, let's say ICP in this case. Let's say it goes to $100. Let's say I FOMO into it at like $33 or whatever, right? What would that really do? The idea is to kind of get in before that kind of stuff does happen, right? Because along the journey, take a look at the hypothetical gains lost along the way. Now, I'm not telling anyone to buy ICP. This is just my opinion. But again, when people out there say $500 is too much to ask for, let's even take a look at this $100 scenario, right? But for the other people out there who may be thinking, oh, you know what? Are you saying $500 is impossible in all this? Well, theoretically, I don't think, that is too crazy. But still, even despite that, $100, in my opinion, still doesn't feel that bad. And not to mention as well, of course, it theoretically needs to go to the price of $100 first before $500, right? So that's just my point of view. But even besides that point, when I take a look at the internet computer, I like the direction in which it is heading, because the way I view it is that when it comes to initially the internet computer, they had this very heavy emphasis of trying to create a decentralized version of the internet. And that angle worked, I guess, because even I believed in it then, right? But then the way I view it is that is a very boring approach, because I have never heard someone try to enter the world of cryptocurrencies saying that, oh man, you know what? We're going to be focused on projects that want to create a decentralized version of the internet that is spread throughout thousands of computers all around the world. I've never heard anyone say that. And basically, the internet computer was kind of touted as that, right? It was kind of basically known for that. But then you know what? They listen to the community. They pay attention to trends. They pay attention to hypes. And guess what's happening now when it comes to the internet computer? They have this heavy emphasis towards being focused on decentralized AI. They have this heavy emphasis about, being this amazing project that can, allegedly connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles. Because of course, oracles, that type of niche is very popular when it comes to something like Chainlink, right? Which is a very massive project. Its decentralized Oracle network is very famous. So again, the internet computer potentially not even needing oracles, being able to connect Web 2 and Web 3, again, without oracles, it shows that, this could be a game changer, and they're being focused on markets that people really do care about, because some people out there, they're focused on projects, again, about oracles and whatnot, and they see this project quite essentially being able to connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles, kind of bypassing that process. Again, that could create some hype and attention, and people who do like AI, they say, whoa, wow, the internet computer focused on decentralized AI. So we got to think about how the internet computer is beginning to kind of evolve and become this project that, during a fully fledged bull run kind of fits into the narrative as to what good projects do, right? Because this is a sign of a project that is very smart. Because take a look at Cody, right? Cody is a project that I'm very bullish on. And it's not spelled like, Cody, like the sweet life of Zach and Cody. It's not like C-O-D-Y. It's spelled like C-O-T-I, right? But even besides that, Cody was initially focused on the payments market. That was good, but at that time, there was kind of a lot of stigma about the Ripple and SEC nonsense. Now it's kind of gone. So when people see Cody beginning to shift towards becoming an Ethereum layer 2, they're like, oh, that's a bad decision now that XRP and XLM has a lot of hype. Maybe, but really, it was the right move at the right time, right? Given that circumstance, it was a good move for Cody to be focused on becoming an Ethereum layer 2 instead of just solely being focused on the payments market, because I think, again, with the way Ethereum is heading as of right now, despite the small pullback, I still do believe that was the right move. So in the grand scheme of things, when we take a look at the Internet Computer, they kind of did a Cody, but at a much larger scale because ICP is much bigger than Cody, right? But I think that's just an example showcasing that, you know what, sometimes pivoting is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And in my opinion, the Internet Computer really has the makings of what we often perceive and see projects do well have, right? In a sense that usually when projects do well, I see three main traits. That's a very strong and passionate community. ICP has that. Not to mention fundamentals are pretty good for the sector that it's in. The Internet Computer is. Not to mention also good exchange listings, which ICP does have in my opinion. So it has all the right traits, but now only time will tell what it's really going to do. Now it's Bitcoin's time. It's Bitcoin's time to shine, in my opinion. But does it mean that there's going to be no time for altcoins? Because usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. The last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year, so 18 months from then, around October this year. Is this going to be a correct timeline? Who knows? But based on what we're seeing as of right now, if things continue to go up, I'm not saying it's going to be straight shot. There's going to be multiple pullbacks. I'm totally aware of that because some people might panic sell or whatever. They just don't want to be here, whatever the case. So there's going to be some pullbacks. But the way I view it is that if this kind of continues, at least the general direction is upwards, I don't see why not, that timeline. People may be thinking, oh, we're nearing June as of right now. What do you mean? 4 months, let's say, give or take, or even 6 months. That doesn't seem like too much time. But in the world of cryptocurrencies, things usually hypothetically pump pretty fast. Imagine, right, when ICP was not doing that good not too long ago, then had that pretty good pump. That happened pretty fast. I think sometimes people have kind of just chose to ignore that happen for whatever reason. But even besides that, I haven't forgotten about it, which is why I'm even talking about it. But I'm just saying, if let's say the market does a lot better when it comes to altcoins, the attention that we saw when it comes to ICP back then, I don't see why it hypothetically might not be a lot more. But again, only time will tell, which is why I'm still staying patient. I'm not giving up. And again, all I can do right now is accumulate more, hold, and I just wait. That's it. Some people out there, who are holding Bitcoin more specifically, because let's say they're holding during the all-time high, right? When it comes to Bitcoin, I'm assuming that either they're in profit or they probably got it at the all-time high, or maybe they got slightly above it because of some exchanges probably, putting the price a little bit higher, who knows? But generally speaking, the average person is probably going to be in profit, right? So when they take a look at someone just holding altcoins and they say, okay, some of your altcoins did well in the portfolio, but generally speaking, still at a loss, take a look at us, man. Take a look at our Bitcoin holdings. I'm totally aware of that. Now it's Bitcoin's time. But hypothetically, maybe there's going to be a time for altcoins to shine, which is why I haven't given up. And $100 doesn't even seem that bad to me. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Believe the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.